History has no shortage of pioneers. But few had fur 4 paws and no idea they were making it. In 1957, during the height of the Cold War, the Soviet Union launched something truly extraordinary. Not just into space, but into legend. Her name was Laika, and she was never meant to come back. You've probably heard the story. Laika was the first living creature to orbit Earth. A stray dog from Moscow turned scientific icon. But what most people don't know is just how rushed, risky, and emotionally complicated her journey really was. This little dog had no idea she was about to become the centerpiece of a geopolitical showpiece, a way for the USSR to outpace the United States in the race for the stars. And she wasn't chosen from a luxury kennel. She was chosen from the streets. Laika's story wasn't born in triumph. It started in shadows. And it's only now that we're beginning to understand the full cost of that ascent. In the fall of 1957, Soviet scientists were under pressure. Premier Nikita Khrushchev wanted a space spectacular to mark the 40th anniversary of the October Revolution. The deadline? Just 4 weeks. The mission? Launch a living creature into orbit. And fast. With no time to build a return system, the mission was one way. The engineers knew it. The biologists knew it. And soon, so would the world. The Soviet space program didn't turn to kennels. They turned to the streets. Stray dogs were seen as survivors, already accustomed to cold, hunger, and chaos. They were small, tough, and adaptable. Ideal candidates for the unknown. Laika, originally named Kudryavka, Little Curly, was a quiet, obedient mongrel with a bright coat and a quizzical expression. She stood out, calm under pressure, trusting, and heartbreakingly unaware of what lay ahead. Two men led her preparation. Dr. Vladimir Yazdovsky, a military physician, and Dr. Oleg Gazenko, a biologist and trainer. Together, they oversaw the selection and training of Laika and her fellow candidates, Albina and Mushka. Albina had already flown suborbital tests. Mushka was reserved for equipment trials. But Laika, she was chosen for flight. And Yazdovsky knew what that meant. Just days before launch, he broke protocol. He took Laika home to play with his children. She was quiet and charming, he later wrote. I wanted to do something nice for her. She had so little time left to live. Laika's training was intense. She was confined to capsules barely larger than her body, spun in centrifuges to simulate rocket acceleration, exposed to roaring launch sounds. Electrodes were implanted to monitor her heartbeat, breathing, and blood pressure. She was fed a high nutrition gel and fitted with a harness and waist system. The cabin allowed her only to sit, stand, or lie down. There was no room to turn around, and through it all, she remained calm, trusting, ready. November 3rd, 1957. The world was watching. The Soviet Union had already stunned the globe with Sputnik 1. Now, they were about to do it again, with a passenger no one expected. Inside the silver rocket sat Laika, strapped into a capsule barely larger than a bread box. Her heart was racing. Her breathing quickened. But she didn't panic. She trusted the humans around her. And then, lift off. Laika became the first living creature to orbit Earth. Her capsule was pressurized, temperature controlled, and equipped with food and oxygen, but it was never designed to return. For hours she floated above the planet she once wandered. Below, millions celebrated. A dog in space, it was a marvel. But behind the applause was a quiet truth. Laika died within hours, likely from overheating and stress. The official story claimed she survived for days, but decades later, the truth emerged. Her sacrifice had been swift, silent, and irreversible. And yet, even in death, Laika changed everything. She proved that life could survive in orbit. Her mission paved the way for human spaceflight, and her story sparked a global conversation about ethics, empathy, and the cost of progress. Laika never returned to Earth, but her story never stopped circling it. Her mission was a scientific milestone, but her sacrifice became something more. A symbol, a question, a quiet echo in the history of spaceflight that still makes people pause. It took over 50 years, but in 2008, Laika finally received a monument in Moscow. A small rocket-shaped sculpture cradling her figure, installed near the military research facility where she trained. She also appears on the towering monument to the conquerors of space, a tribute to Soviet space pioneers. And her image has graced stamps, murals, and even children's books across the globe. Laika's name lives on in classrooms, documentaries, and quiet tributes. She's remembered not just as a passenger, but as a pioneer. Her journey helped scientists understand how living beings respond to spaceflight. Even today, her story is retold with reverence, not as a footnote, but as a chapter that changed everything. She was a stray, a survivor, a quiet soul sent into the loudest place imaginable. And though she vanished into the cosmos, her story continues to orbit our hearts. Laika didn't ask to be remembered, but she is. Not for the rocket she rode, but for the hearts she touched.